Hey, what's up, guys? David Gascon here. Benny versus the Penny, week number 13, finally upon us after a lengthy week number 12 in the National Football League. Thanks for joining us and stopping on by this Friday afternoon or nighttime, wherever you may be. Got a lot of games to get to. It's actually a full slate of games. That includes all kinds of action on Sunday, but we also got a double dip on Monday. Another game on Tuesday. And Ben and I got an APB out for the Las Vegas Raiders, who got shellacked last week. And they have a couple of marquee guys that are out of this ball game. Kansas City, a late backdoor cover for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ben and I are going to chew on that. This broadcast is brought to you by Ecamm Live. It's a Mac-based application for all your streaming needs. So if you'd like any more additional information on all of that, click the link below, subscribe, hit us up any given time if you'd like to see some of the archived content, and of course give Ben and I a little bit of flack along the way. With that being said, I got to introduce the big man on campus, Ben Mallow. What is up, man?
Well, Gascon, I like the fact that you've gone now to like a Happy Days look. This is like old school Happy Days with your appearance, but it's going to be back in. This is a sliding show. This is a sliding show because everything kind of goes depending on our schedule. And so this week we had to do it early. Next week's going to be even earlier. I'm warning the Maller Militia that next week this podcast, YouTube show, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be even earlier. But it's going to be here. This is going to be the week, Gascon. This is going to be the week that magic happens in the NFL. It's going to happen.
Now, do you mean Mahomes magic? Because they got a date with the Denver Broncos on Sunday night. Or do you mean the New York Jets are going to win a game?
No, I mean Maller Magic, Gascon. Okay. I'm talking about my handicapping, which has been subpar. You know, when you sign up to do a handicapping show and you're under 500, that's bull crap. All right? That's bull crap. And, I got to have a fall guy. I no accountability. I got to blame somebody else. You know what? I'm blaming you. Okay. I am blaming you. I have not been this bad on radio or podcasting. It's because you dragged me to the seedy underworld of the YouTube. I mean, we're on YouTube. Who makes money on YouTube? Guys doing video game play-by-play make money on YouTube, right? That's who makes the most money on YouTube. Why don't we just do that? Why don't we play a video game and I'll do the play-by-play? How about that?
Well, of course, you need to get into some lingerie if you're going to do that, if you're going to stream yourself live broadcasting a video game. So I don't know if you got that kind of apparel in the Maller Mansion, but it's all good.
By the way, what happened to your facial hair, by the way? I mean, it comes, it goes. It's like, what is that?
Well, your king has shut down the state, and because of that, you got barbershops that are closing up shop, and I've been compelled to go get a haircut, shave a little bit, so that way it doesn't look like I was born 100 years ago. Let me come to your defense. Yeah. Let me come to your defense. Most guys, whether it is just casual betting or they're the professional gamblers, don't cap and put action on 16 games in the National Football League. You are taking shots at every single game, week in and week out. So the level of difficulty is much, much higher than it is if you, let's say, went to 3, 4, or even 5 games. Like your best bets last week, they were 500. You pushed all the way across the board. And
listen. I mean, the hardest thing, and this is we talk about all the time, motivation and all the different angles. Is that a team going to be focused? The low information fan thinks these guys show up every week and they're ready to go because it's pro football. Yeah. I know from watching the NFL over the years that is not true. You got to find motivation. There's a look ahead game where you got a bigger opponent the following week. There's, stuff going on in the locker room. Coaches you're not happy with. Coaches get fired. How does the team respond to that? Star player gets hurt. That doesn't guarantee that you're gonna play poorly. I mean, there's all those things. By the way, Robbie the Mariner fan in the chat, he does point out that the dude that knocked out Nate Robinson makes money on YouTube. Well, yeah, Jake Paul, and he doesn't even do play-by-play, right? Jake Paul just kind of does crazy, stupid shit, and that works for him, right?
He's a little bit better shape than we're in. But yeah, he's getting all kinds of offers right now. I know Evander Kane from the San Jose Sharks offered to square him off. Antonio Tarver also mentioned, he said, I'll give you a 30-year spot too. There's a bunch of guys that want to go toes with him.
I'll fight him if you pay me enough money. I'll fight you if they pay me enough money, Gasky. I'll kick your ass, by the way. I'll throw a 1-2 combo punch. Haymaker, I will poke you in the eye. You have no chance.
But are you gonna go like old school WWF with a little dust in my face, a little chalk?
I'll throw some concrete in my boxing gloves. You know, why not?
Do that. Could do
That's
that.
old school. That's raging bull crap, is what that is.
We could do that. Listen, let's take a peek at last week real quick. I got some new furniture for you as well. But going into what happened last week, it was challenging for you. I will say that much.
Yeah. It was another. You want to be above 500, obviously, and anything at 500 or below, you're screwed. Now, keep in mind, you should never bet, as we said, on all these games. That's a mistake. The ones that really kicked my ass, the Raiders. I did not foreshadow the Raiders not showing up to play. That was insanity. Also, I'd like to thank Anthony Lynn for the tremendous clock management and what a genius he is. Good job by him. But they got the Titans right. That was nice. And how about Carolina? They had that game actually won, and then the Vikings came back in the final seconds to keep it close. And the Cowboy game on Thanksgiving, remember that was a one-score game going to the fourth quarter, and the former Redskins outscored the Cowboys by 21 points in the fourth quarter. I think it was a 20-16 score going to the fourth quarter of that game. Yeah, so I mean, listen, and then the whole Broncos Saints thing. I mean, what are you going to do with that? I mean, my God,
I don't even want to talk about that game. I mean, the fact that they actually did them like that and then pushed Baltimore back to Tuesday night was an absolute joke. But yeah, run down the season so far for you with totals and whatnot. 7-8-1, and Penny was 9-6-1.
I feel like there's some numbers there missing, Gascon, in week 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I'm not seeing those, Gascon. Are you trying to hide those? Are you trying to protect the guilty? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, we just haven't gotten there yet. I'm not putting the cart before the horse, Ben Maller. So
no, you should what you should do is put down glowing records for me for the rest of the season. Because the people in the chat aren't paying attention. The people watching are kind of like looking with like side eye there.
That they watch because they want to make sure that my spelling and then my arithmetic are correct. So they're always watching, as you have eloquently pointed out. We need a favor.
Hold on. Pierre, the friend of Alf, the alien opiner, points out that very clear, very clean this week. It only took us how many weeks to figure out what was the issue with the quality of the video. So we had an epiphany all of a sudden. It's crazy.
Well, we had that, but it does help when other people aren't occupying the internet connection. So that's
right. My wife is at work right now, so she's not here watching some crappy British baking show on television. So we have that. So
well, speaking of crappy, how about this? I got some new furniture for us and. Got a little bit of a nice aesthetic appeal, so I hope you like the place.
I like that.
Sort it out.
Yeah, I think it really brings out the beautiful color of my eyes there. Yeah.
You pop. We need a hand though. We're on the verge of hitting 300 subscribers on the YouTube channel, so if we can get a couple more people to pop on in, thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button, that'd be great as we continue on into the postseason of the NFL.
And remember, thumbs up. I know this is an earlier time, and most people actually watch this after the live feed because, listen, I wouldn't change my life around for this either. I guess I kind of do.
You do.
But, yeah, that's true. Thumbs up. Help us out. I loved what Rich had to say. Rich says, Gagon's wardrobe budget must have been a victim of the COVID cutbacks. Is that true, Gascon? Here in California, you couldn't afford a collar. I am wearing a collared shirt, by the way. Look at that beautiful collared shirt, dressed up.
All you're missing is an axe and your bull. That's all you're missing.
You got a problem that I'm a hillbilly? I'm hillbilly Benny. You got a problem with that?
Nothing at all. I mean, you're in California, so I don't know if it's applicable. But that's fine.
Well, no, you got to go to like Bakersfield in that area in California. That's where more of the redneck area, right? Because I'm an honorary redneck. I'm a hero, Gascon, in the redneck community. I am an honorary redneck. Years ago, I had a listener in Tennessee that sent me this long email. He's actually a hillbilly and said that I was beloved in the hillbilly communities of Tennessee. So I take that as a badge of honor.
That's good. That's good. Now, if they can name some food after you where those parts are at, then it's another thing. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, we were closing in on that, actually. There was a place, my guy. No, hold on a sec, Gascon. My guy that runs the Jiggle Joint in Lawrence, Kansas, the Bird. Yep. He hooked me up with another restaurateur that was supposed to name a food item, but I think because of the pandemic, everything got pushed back. I mean, because when you put a Maller branded food dish on your menu, you're trying to get the militia to come in there, and they're not going to do takeout. They want to get the ambiance at the restaurant and all that. So, I mean, that's the issue there. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Oh, look at that. We have George as a new subscriber. Does he get a golden ticket?
No, this is not. This is not your regular weekday show. We're not getting into that madness. No, not at all.
Mr. Luciano says you want to go to Fresno to find the rednecks in California.
You don't want to go to Fresno at all. Let me tell you that, as a guy that's an expert in minor league baseball, so I can attest to that.
I've been to Fresno. It was fine. I drove right through it, but
yeah. Can we talk some ball? What are we getting into right now?
All right, let's do it. Now, remember, good teams win. Great teams cover the spread. That's right. All right, so we'll start out with New Orleans at Atlanta. It is on Fox. You better watch. Kenny Albert, friend of the show, and Jonathan Vilma. Now, I would like to alert all of our affiliates, if we had any, on this YouTube thing, that Gascon, later on, we will be playing one of my favorite games here. We used to play the Dick Stockton game, but Dick doesn't do games every week, so which game is the Spiro Ditas game? But this is obviously a Fox game. It's Kenny Albert. Saints opened up a 3.5-point favorite. They're favored by 2.5 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium's dome in Atlanta, so the weather does not matter. I'm going to take the Falcons in this game. It's a play against Taysom Hill, who is not exactly dazzle. I know the Saints have won both these games. The Saints seemingly cannot lose even when Drew Brees is out. New Orleans is now 7-0, both straight up and against the spread without Drew Brees since the start of last season. A lot of that was Teddy Bridgewater. So it's hard, but it's not impossible to bet against the Saints. I mean, Sean Payton's got a great record against the spread. In fact, the last 3 seasons, he is the top cover coach in the NFL. Against the spread, if you just blindly bet the Saints every week, Sean Payton 27-16, the Saints record over those last 3 years against the spread. Now that said, I'm not comfy with Taysom Hill in the spot. Also, New Orleans without 2 defensive starters, defensive end Marcus Davenport with a concussion, Janoris Jenkins, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he is a NFL seasoned veteran. He's got a bad knee. He's out. The Falcons, I don't know what to make of them under Raheem Morris. They have gone 4-2 versus the line under Raheem Morris. So they're 2-4 at home, but they're 4-2 versus the line for Raheem Morris. They were gifted the win last week. The Raiders just were not there. They kept turning the ball over. Atlanta dinged up here with Julio Jones. He's got a bad hammy, and Todd Gurley's got a knee. But they are not out. They're listed as questionable. And I really need Julio Jones to play. So my advice to you is to wait until, as long as you can, if you got a guy or one of these online places, wait until Sunday until we know whether or not Julio Jones is going to play, because that makes this a manageable situation. Matt Ryan's been terrible against the Saints in recent years, but this is a revenge game for Atlanta. And at some point here, the inability of Taysom Hill to throw the ball consistently down the field is going to come back to bite him in the ass. So, and the Falcons are at least trying Gascon under Raheem Morris, which is a step in the right direction. Atlanta 26, New Orleans 23, the final.
Penny's going with the team with a quarterback this week, going with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, Jonathan says he's going with the Falcons. The Saints are overrated, and it showed against Denver. Juan says Benny and the Penny with Weed Man Hippie. Can we get Weed Man on? I don't see Weed Man in the chat. Dan says I'm not used to Ben being so clear. He usually looks like Japanese porn.
Nice and pixelated throughout.
I'm glad that you like Japanese porn, Dan. I'm glad that you've announced that to the world. Let's see here. Steve says, I wear earbuds constantly while shopping and getting gas to avoid panhandlers. Some might call me cheap or a Scrooge. I call it social distancing. Point at my ears and keep on walking. You know, I've done that move, Steve. I've done the earbuds thing because when I go walking, I got headphones on. I'm listening to some audio content from somewhere. And I've known the really aggressive panhandlers, they don't give a crap, Gascon. They will continue to pester you no matter what.
Yeah. I don't know. You always, I mean, you're out and about though when you're walking. I can imagine someone just because you had a couple guys that came by the studio pre-COVID, right? That were ignoring all of these saying like get away from like your producers and some of the other staff that were saying you can't come into the building.
Oh yeah, we used to have Helmet Man. I hope
yeah.
he's still around. He would show up with like a shopping cart in front of the studio and knock on the window and all that. We've had a few over the years. Now Queen Roxanne, I got to address Queen Roxanne here. She says, if a bum has a dog or a kid, I'll give up my money. That's a mistake. Queen Roxanne, you got to look at it this way. It's terrible. I know here in Los Angeles, there's a family that goes around to different Costco's, and they use their kids as props. And there was an investigation done, and it turns out they actually live in a home, and they're not homeless, and they've got money. And see, I would be less likely to give someone who has their kids out money, because you should not ruin a kid's life by using them as a prop. That's bull crap, and you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it sucks. If you are down, I know people are down in their luck and all that, and it's terrible, but you can't be using your kids and drag your kids into that. Then you're getting another generation. You're soiling the next generation and putting that into their head. That's a bad job by them.
Well, you do that, and then you send them to a university that preaches that stuff too, so it's all the same.
Third rail, my man. Third rail. How dare you, Gascon?
Indeed. Where are we going next?
Let's go to the Windy City, Chicago, where my former colleague Chris Myers, it appears, is going to be the TV voice of the Chicago Cubs. Good for Chris. The Detroit-Chicago game, Detroit 4-7 overall, and Chicago 5-6. It's on Fox. You better watch. Kevin Kugler and Chris Spielman have the call. Now, the game opened Bears by 4. Bears are favored by 3 right now. Temperatures in the 30s at Soldier Field, Chicago, so that typical December weather for the Bears. I'm going to take the Lions in this game. This is a terrible game you should not bet on because of all the injuries and whatnot, but I'm going to bet that the Lions want to shove it up. You know who's took is Matt Patricia, who was given a long walk off a short pier this week. He was excommunicated. His reign of terror is over there as coach of the Motor City Kitties. So Darrell Bevell takes over, and this guy's been around the NFL for years. Does that really change the narrative? I think this week it does, because you're going to get a more focused Detroit team to try to prove that Matt Patricia was the problem and they were not the problem. Now, the Lions are shorthanded. The thing that you don't like is, again, Kenny Galladay. Galladay's out with a bad hip. Jeff Okudah, who's been terrible, the young defensive back, he's out again with a bad shoulder, but that's actually probably a positive. And there's some other guys in the secondary that are dinged up. Now, Mitch Trubisky, I always like betting against Trubisky, but he's actually the only team he's played well against has been the Lions. He's got 4 straight games with 3 touchdowns against Detroit. The only team that Mitch Trubisky has dominated in his career is the Detroit Lions, the Honolulu Blue. Does that continue this week? I say no. Nick Foles is waiting in the wings. He's going to be the backup. He's on the injury report, but Foles is available, and I could see him coming in. Chicago is without Akeem Hicks. That's huge for the Bears defense. He's questionable. It doesn't sound like he's going to play with a bad hamstring. Also, they've got 2 offensive linemen, including the left tackle Charles Leno Jr., who are on the injured report. He's got a bad toe. And Allen Robinson, the bell cow wide receiver, Allen Robinson with a bum knee. He's also on the injury report. So I'm taking the Lions here. This is, again, a play because Patricia's gone. Lions 24, Bears 23, the final.
Oh man, Penny's going with the Chi-Town on this one. Going with the Bears.
I like that Jonathan said, I'm going to take Detroit, but Chicago's going to cover. How is it possible for Chicago to cover, Jonathan, when they're a 3-point favorite? If you're going to take Detroit, you've got to take Detroit. What are you doing here? My God. Let's see. Robbie the Mariner fan says, Helmet Man is always thinking ahead, hence the helmet. Hey, I love Helmet Man. He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. That guy's he's really got a crappy life. He's got no money. He's bounced around. The guy's been homeless, and he's got a place to live, last I saw. But he always has a smile on his face. The guy's like the happiest guy I know. I know people that have a lot of money and have been very successful in TV and radio that are the most disgusting human beings. They hate life. Everyone's out to get them. Helmet Man's pushing a shopping cart half the time, buying crap, trying to sell it to celebrities at sporting events in L.A., and he's always got a smile on his face. I love the guy.
Who do you talk about when it comes to television and radio people that are like that are miserable?
David Gascon comes to mind. He pops into my head right now.
I'm not wealthy, though. If I was wealthy, then maybe I'd have a case, but not wealthy.
Well, you live west of the 405, Gascon.
It's all right.
You live west of the 405.
I know you're jealous of that. It's fine. It's fine. You can pack up and come this way.
The one person I will say that I will name that was the most miserable human being that had the most money of anyone that I've known was Kevin Brown. I covered the Dodgers back when he was a pitcher, starting pitcher. He signed the first $100 million contract for a starting pitcher in baseball history was Kevin Brown.
Right.
And he was surly and angry and grumpy and all of that. And what's your deal? I mean, the guy had tremendous success on the mound, not with the Dodgers, but with all those other teams he played for. My God.
Yeah, he was a beast with the Padres before he came to the Dodgers.
And he won a World Series with the Marlins, too. He was on the Marlins when they won. All right.
That's right.
Keep it going. Next up, Indianapolis 7-4 at Houston. It's on CBS. Is this the Spiro Adidas game?
This is not the Spiro Adidas game.
All right. You're right. It is the Greg Gumbel and Rich Gannon game. So they have this game. The Colts opened a 3.5-point favorite. They are favored by 3. NRG Stadium, the house that Chris in Houston built, unless it's not. The weather here in the 50s and sunny. Remember, it's one of those retractable roof dome stadiums in Houston. So I'm not sure how much the weather even matters. I'm going to take the Colts here. I don't like betting favorites, but I'm going to take Indianapolis to bounce back this week after getting just gobsmacked by the Tennessee Titans last week. Houston, though, has won 3 of their last 4 games heading into this with Romeo Crennel. They've covered 2 of their last 3. The big advantage here is the Colts' running game versus the Texans' lousy run defense. And that was, though, before the medical madness, and that's a factor here. I'm taking the Colts anyway, because that's the side the sharp guys are on, the wise guys, the professional gamblers betting on the Colts. There's no way around that. Phillip Rivers got a bad toe. The offensive line has a bunch of guys that are the walking wounded here. And so this is going to be a scissors and paste job to put this team together for Frank Reich, the coach. But remember, the Texans are a bad team. And just because they happened to beat the Lions last week and they've beaten Jacksonville a couple of times, they really haven't beaten anyone who's halfway decent. And Indianapolis is still halfway decent. And also, remember, though, the Texans, they've got some injuries on that side. They lost, not really injuries, these are suspensions. Will Fuller, the receiver, and Bradley Roby, the defensive back, were both suspended for drugs. And you combine that with the running game advantage that Indianapolis should have on this game. I'm going to take the road favorite to bounce back. Indianapolis 27, Houston 21, the final.
Penny going that way as well, going with the Colts. They've dominated this matchup too, so I like them to roll.
That tells you what has happened, not what's going to happen, Gascon. Roscoe the Parrot has arrived. My guy, Roscoe. David's on my short list of the most interesting people I've ever met. David in Winter Park, Florida. I like David. He's a Tampa Bay Rays fan. The only Tampa Bay Ray fan that I've met that's a real Tampa Bay Ray fan. Like, he has, like, jersey and a hat. Like, he's really into it. He says, Roscoe the Parrot says the Bears -3 versus the Lions. A who cares game. Take the Lions +3 plus the points. There you go. All right. So that's what's called covering yourself there, because Roscoe took the Bears and then he took the other team, the Lions.
Have you, speaking of the Rays, have you been to Tropicana Field?
I have not. I haven't been to Florida in a long time, and I'm actually not spending any time in Tampa. I've been to Orlando and Miami. I've not been to Tampa.
It is.
It
almost feels like an old school rundown country club, because similar to the Rose Bowl, as you know, with the golf course, Tropicana Field has just a bunch of grass around it for parking. So you're parking in these like grass patches, and there's a bunch of elderly people that are in these reclining, fold out chairs that you'd see at a beach, and they just take your money and give you a parking pass and whatnot. It's really relaxed. But then going into the ball game, they got some nice leather seats behind home plate that obviously no one's paying for, but I mean, that place is an absolute dump. But it's pretty, it makes it feel like an old school minor league ballpark.
I had a similar feel. I went to a Buffalo Bills game. This is years ago, and it felt like a college football atmosphere. It's the only NFL game. I've never been to Green Bay.
Kansas City?
I'm going to get there. I've never been to a Chiefs game either, but my point of reference in my life, Buffalo felt like I was at a college football game below the Mason-Dixon line on a Saturday morning somewhere. Just the whole vibe, the tailgating and all that was really cool. And the Bills fans, I don't think they were called Bills Mafia at that point. This is a long time ago, but I've told the story many times on the radio about they had much like I guess in Tampa, they had the parking lot with porta potties in the parking lot and all that, and it was if a Dolphin fan would go in, they would tip the thing over, and you can imagine. The story was the story I was told, a guy in a Dan Marino jersey went in there and they tipped it over, and it came out, he had a brown, the color brown. That teal Dolphin jersey became brown. So
that's awful.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the guy from Portugal has arrived. He is currently working on his thesis. You'll be happy to know about injunctions against the state. He says, fight the power. There you go. And for those of you asking, where is the penny? I have the penny right here. Hold on a sec. I don't know if you can see that because there it is, the penny. Look at that. Courtesy of Chris in Maricopa to Iowa. That is a large jumbo penny. You should actually have this, Gascon. Are you going to drink that bourbon on camera from Kentucky K and Kentucky J?
I need to get a fillet on the grill in order to do that, but maybe we'll do it next week when we get an early start for the show.
Just saying the word fillet makes you sound like a douche. You know that? The word fillet.
Should I say tomahawk?
Oh, you gonna go there? Yeah. You want me to get it? I can go into the kitchen and get it if you want. It's in the freezer.
I'd prefer that you consumed it, but that's fine. I mean, it's not there to taste.
I've decided now, once they open up society again and we stop becoming the police state that we're in right now, then I'll have a celebratory tomahawk steak. How about that?
That's not going to happen until like 2021.
That's only like a few weeks away. I mean, come on, we're almost into 2021. Oh yeah, we got a few more weeks here. Yeah, there you go. All right, just Josh says a 405 move right there. Dave, Pierre says again with the steak. Yeah, this guy, it's embarrassing, Pierre. Isn't this embarrassing? Always with the steak. Always. I dropped the penny. By the way, the penny down. I dropped the penny. The penny has been dropped here. Let me get it. Hold on a second.
Don't throw out your back doing that. All right, so where are we going next?
I saved the penny. The penny has been saved. You see that? Look at that. Abe Lincoln, Uncle Abe, right there. In God we trust. Liberty, right there. Can I spend this, by the way? Is it? No.
You probably
Objects
could.
appear. What is it? Objects appear closer
than they actually are. Yeah.
There you go. All right, next game up for us: Cincinnati at Miami, and it's on CBS. Is this The Spiro Adidas game.
I think so. No Joe Burrow, heavy line. Yeah.
You have just lost the Spiro Adidas game. Cincinnati 2-8-1, Miami 7-4. This is the Andrew Catalan,
Close.
James Lofton game for CBS. I was reading the New York Post. I love Phil Mushnick, the columnist of the New York Post. He's a no-nonsense bullcrap artist, and he just rips sports media apart. And he was singing the praises of James Lofton because Lofton does not talk too much on broadcast. He's like the exception to the rule. But I haven't seen a lot of James Lofton games, but I'm usually bouncing around from game to game, so I don't really pay that much attention. The only games I really pay full attention to are the Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night game. Other than that, I'm bouncing. I'm like a pinball bouncing around from game to game, and I'll watch a few minutes, and then when somebody gets in the red zone, I'll watch that. Anyway, Miami opened a 10-point favorite. They are up to an 11.5-point favorite. 11.5-point favorite in this game. It's going to be 70 in the 70s in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium there. I am going to take the Bengals in this game. I'm going to take the Bengals, and here's why. These franchises, I realize there's ships passing in the night. The Dolphins have won 6 out of 7 under Brian Flores. The Bengals, under their second-year coach, have won 4 of their last 27 games under Zach Taylor. So, yikes. The great thing about gambling, though, is that you don't have to win the game straight up when you take the underdog to win the money. Now, that being said, after that great start against the spread with Joe Burrow, the Bengals were 6-1-1 against the number. Cincinnati now has lost 2 of their last 3 without Joe Burrow. They are also without their starting offensive guard, Alex Redmond, big beefy guy on the offensive line. He's got a concussion on the offensive line. And then secondly, listen, the Dolphins here, they don't know who's going to play quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa's got a thumb injury. He's a question mark. It sounded midweek based on reading the tea leaves that he was going to be able to play. Now that's not so sure. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's actually fine if you start Fitzpatrick, it's not that big a deal. And I've loved Miami. I think Miami, gambling-wise, is the way to go. I just don't like double-digit favorites. It goes against my principles. So Miami is probably going to win this game 30-10, but I'm not going to be betting and laying double digits. I'm not. And you've always got the backdoor cover. Brandon Allen, who's playing quarterback for the Bengals, sucks. Every pass could be intercepted that he throws. He was with the Rams and he was with the Broncos. He's bounced around a little bit. Another factor, though, here is the look-ahead situation because nobody gets up to play the Cincinnati Bengals. And then after that, they have showcase games with Patrick Mahomes and Bill Belichick upcoming. So this is one of those spots you look ahead on the schedule. So I said the Dolphins are going to win this game, but they're not going to cover. Dolphins 26, Bengals 16-5.
Penny thinks this is another version of the Jets. Going with Miami.
Miami. All right. Meet Me at the Coffee Pot podcast says Zach Taylor deserves to be fired, but the Bengals will keep him for years too long. I know they did that with Marvin Lewis, but at least Marvin made the playoffs occasionally. Zach, he didn't win in the playoffs, but at least he got them to the playoffs.
They were consistently in the hunt.
Yeah, Pierre says Boomer Esiason not walking through that door. Jonathan's going the Dolphins to win, the Bengals to cover. There you go. See, now you got that right, Jonathan. Before you didn't get that right. Dan points out that Ickey Woods is not walking through that door.
Carson Palmer, Chris Henry.
Yeah, sure. Ocho
Rudy
Cinco,
Johnson.
the Chad Ocho Cinco, my favorite Bengal of all time, with a wink and a nod to Andy Furman and Chris Collinsworth back in the old days of Cincinnati Bengal football. Mark says his pick, Syracuse Notre Dame straight up or minus 33. I don't know, or plus 33 rather. He said minus. Yeah, what are you doing there? My God.
I think Kyron Williams is going to run wild on Syracuse. So,
is that a hot college football take by you, Gascon?
No, but I mean that's a lot of chalk. 33.
Robbie, the Mariner fan who loves Oregon State football for some reason,
Jamar
says,
Jefferson, baby.
They got a Saddleback guy, so I might have to add an Oregon State hat to my. If somebody can hook me up with that, because they have a Saddleback quarterback on their team. He says Beavers 11.5-point underdogs against Utah. Robbie says take the Beavs to cover.
Jamar Jefferson ran wild against Oregon. That dude had over 200 yards on the ground against the Ducks. That guy's a horse, but that team's awful.
How about Steve? Steve says in the chat, he says, if you want to go old school, I'll mail you a penny from 1901. Think it's from Great Britain. It's the size of a $50. To my amazement, it's worth 27 cents in the U.S. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
That's not bad.
Right.
Hook it up.
There you go. Hook it up. All right. Next game for us, Gascon. Jacksonville at Minnesota. And Jacksonville 1-10. Minnesota comes in 5-6. It's on CBS. Is this the Spiro Adidas game?
Minnesota's okay. No, it's not Spiro Adidas.
It is not. But surprisingly, this is the Beth Mowins game. Beth Mowins is doing this game for CBS with Jay Feely. The Vikings opened up a 9.5-point favorite. They're currently favored by 10.5 at US Bank Stadium, a.k.a. the Ship in Minneapolis. I am going to take Jacksonville in this game. Again, double digits. Double digits. Do not lay double digits. It's a recipe to lose your ass. There's a big shakeup in Jacksonville this week. GM Dave Caldwell has been kicked off the ship. He has been jettisoned. And Doug Marrone surviving, despite reports of his demise. Those were premature, at least for now. He is the lamest of lame ducks. You got Doug Marrone in Jacksonville, Adam Gase with the Jets. These guys know they're not going to be coaching those teams next year. So I don't think the GM impacts the game as far as the players are concerned, like Matt Patricia, for example. We talked about the Lions game earlier here on Benny versus the Penny. Jacksonville is 0-10 straight up. They've lost 10 games in a row. They beat the Colts week 1. They've lost every game since. They're 3-6 against the spread, their last 9 on the season. And they have the Draft, who escaped from the Jacksonville Zoo. The great Mike Glennon is back under center this week. The Vikings, their defense, which used to be the nuts and bolts of Mike Zimmer's team, it's like a Ferris wheel. They go up and they go down. And Minnesota is also on offense without one of their tight ends, Irv Smith, who's more of a blocker than a pass catcher this year. But Irv Smith's got a bad back. He's out. Mike Zimmer's Vikings had covered 6 of 7 before they had lost to Dallas, and they didn't cover against Carolina, so they're on a bit of a cold streak now. And the problem with betting on the Vikings and laying double digits is they're a sloppy team. Right? Turnovers, bad special teams. The talent with Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins on offense is playoff worthy. And they should win this game in Minnesota 41-17. Selfish, giving Jacksonville a short field, allowing Mike Glennon to move the football and not have to go 50 yards to get in the scoring range. Those are the great equalizer plays. So Minnesota, they've also got a banged-up secondary looking at the injury report. The Vikings are just 1-3-2 against the spread when laying 9 or more points under Mike Zimmer in recent years. So I like Jacksonville. You might need a backdoor cover, late fourth quarter score, but I'm going to take that. I will take the Minnesota Vikings to win, but Jacksonville to cover. Vikings 30, Jags 20. And the Penny pick.
Penny going with the chalk, going with the Vikings.
Chalky McChalk. There you go.
Not good.
Let's see here. Juan says James Robinson's going to run for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He points that out. Who else do we have? Page down. Goodness gracious from Jimbo. He says, I'm not sure what that means. And random rumblings in the chat. I want to thank all the P1s. And for those of you that just got into the chat, thumbs up. Remember, thumbs up. This is not a highly produced, as you can tell, radio program or – no, I mean, it looks good.
It's highly produced. What are you talking about? We got graphics. We got elements. We got lines. We got analysis. We got everything we need.
I know. But I'm just saying we do not have a budget for advertising, is what I'm saying. And it's the only way you find the show is word of mouth advertising. I might slip it in on the radio show or the podcast, but that's just a casual mention.
Sure.
But it's not like we do commercials saying, hey, listen to Benny versus the Penny next week. We don't do that. So
that's true. But speaking of commercials, it's a good time, and I'm glad you brought that up to get trivial.
Let's get trivial. Now, Gascon, would you like to apologize? I got several people who contacted me on social media saying,
no, I would not. I would not like to apologize. I would not like to apologize because people listen to what they want to listen to. That's fine. They interpret it how they wanted to. I would not acknowledge the fact that someone accused me of a bait and switch. That was not the case. But if you didn't buy anything,
wait, hold on a second. You said go to Fanatics, get 70% off. You didn't say up to 70% off, which is what Fanatics said. You said 70% off.
Yeah,
up to that is a weasel term.
It's an omission. It's an omission of truth. That's what I did. I omitted a word, but there are items that were on there that were up to. Oh, that's just not disclosing everything. But if these people didn't buy anything,
a lie by omission is a lie, Gascon.
Anyways, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and myself are the only three quarterbacks who are leading their team in rushing. Who am I? Brought to you by Fanatics, of course.
All right, so check that out. And by the way, Fanatics, if you're on the YouTube page, otherwise there's no way to see this show, so you're on the YouTube page. Check it out. Click the information box. You can see it right there. There's a link, and you can get all kinds of great deals, and it does not cost you anything more. You pay the same great prices, which is not 70% off, like Gascon said, but you're going to save some money at Fanatics. And the cool thing about it is that they give us a very small taste, and no skin off your back. So it's a way to help the podcast without actually having to just donate money blindly. You buy something, so you get a hat or a jersey. Like for example, if you wanted to, add to my hat collection for Hanukkah or Christmas or any of those things, you can do it on Fanatics and save a couple of bucks. So some of the answers coming in here, we have Steve Young, guessed by Isaac. George is going with Daniel Jones as his answer. Forrest Gump from Sam. Deshaun Watson, guessed by Robert. Michael Vick, that's a relevant guess. Ron Mexico, tossed out by Juan. Jay Fiedler from Rich, the Ram fan. Herbert Birdsfoot, the great opiner, from Alf, the alien opiner. Dan is going with Derek Effin Carr, the Trot Dog. Arf, 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 Trot Dog. He's going with Jeff Hostetler. My guy, Raider Freak. That guy is hardcore. He says half pint is the answer. He's going half pint. Andy Dalton, guessed by Just Josh. Who else do we have? Justin Herbert from Robbie, the Falcon fan. Vince Evans, there's a good name from the NFL past. Vince Evans, guessed by Steve, Scott. Steve went with Webster. Just Josh, one of the Cincinnati bros, gives us Drew Bledsoe. I'm surprised you didn't say Alexa Bliss, Josh. Every week it's Alexa Bliss. He loves Alexa Bliss. Does your wife know that you have been jonesing for Alexa Bliss? My God. Jeez, let it go, man. All right, what's the answer, Gascon?
The answer, surprisingly enough, is not one Kyler Murray, but it is Daniel Jones, the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, look at that. That's because the Giants have been rotating running backs in, so nobody's been able to put up huge numbers. But we did have the winner. As we said, one of the guys got it right in the chat. So good job by you, George. It is Daniel Jones. All right, next game for us. Jacksonville 1-10 at Minnesota 5-6. It's on CBS. Beth Mowins and Jay Feely have the call. The Vikings opened. We already did that game, didn't we? Well, I got to move up. We've already done that game. Bad job by me. How about this? Las Vegas. Let's go to Vegas at the Jets. Yes, that's the next game. All right, we'll do that game. Las Vegas 6-5 at the Jets 0-11. It's on CBS. It's on CBS with Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta. Now the Raiders opened a 7.5-point favorite. They're a 9-point road favorite Temperatures in the 40s, a chance of some decent wind and even some rain at MetLife Stadium on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to take the Jets in this game. Derek Carr, a lot of mistakes. Now, Carr leads the NFL in – don't shake your head at me, Gascon. Carr leads the NFL with 8 lost fumbles. And those giveaways are the kind of plays that will allow a team like the Jets to hang around. And he also, if you look at the last 5 starts, Derek Carr has not played well in 3 of the last 5 starts, and that was against the Browns, Broncos, and the Falcons. So he's starting to slow down. The Raiders are in a bit of turmoil here after that gutless puke effort against the Falcons. So the assumption is the Raiders are going to be focused. They're going to bounce back. They're going to play great. You know what happens when you assume. Now, I'm not telling you the Jets are going to win this game because they suck. And Adam Gase is following the old chess strategy. A bad plan is better than no plan. So they have a bad plan. Sam Darnold has been an airborne toxin this season. Check this out. The last 4 games, Darnold has no touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's got a 58.8 passer rating over the last 4 games. And, Gascon, if he does not get a touchdown on his first 8 pass attempts on Sunday, he will become, Sam Darnold, the first quarterback in the last 5 years to go 150 pass attempts without throwing a touchdown. The last quarterback to do it, that stiff Nick Foles was the last one to do it, by the way. That's for my guy, Philly Rob. Now, that said, remember, the Raiders, historically, not that you follow trends that closely, but they have been charbroiled. They haven't won a game in that stadium against the Jets since Jeff Hostetler was the quarterback. And last year, the Raiders, who we can all agree were a better team than the Jets last year, the Raiders went into New Jersey, and the Jets beat them 34-3. And Sam Darnold had 300 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns. So I'm saying there's a chance. And even after the Miami loss last week for the Jets, Gang Green has covered 3 of the last 5. So, hey, I'm going to take the Raiders to win, but I say the Jets will at least keep it close long enough to stay within the margins. Raiders 28, Jets 20, the final.
Penny not going that way, going with Las Vegas Raiders.
I saw what you saw just Josh there. The 1 o'clock on the East Coast, the Jets could pull a rabbit out of their asses, he said. Dan says Raiders by 4 touchdowns. Mark says there are no fans in 90% of these stadiums. I reject the 3-point home advantage. Well, you do that, Mark. You reject that. You reject that. You gotta follow the wise guys. You want to be on the side of the sharp gambler because they win more times than not. And you always want to bet against the public. You got to try to find out. There are ways to do it. You got to find out where the public is at because the public is wrong most of the time.
And that's exactly why we have the lines at the bottom of the screen, because you can see the action going with the public. It's not where the money is going. It's where the general public is, because the money is different than the action from the people itself.
Yeah. Pierre says that was before Sam Darnold saw ghosts. I don't think it was. When was that Jets-Patriots? I thought that Jets-Patriots game when he saw ghosts was early in the year last year, wasn't it? And that Raider game was, I think that was after. The Jets actually won some games in the back half of the season last year.
Yeah, they blew out Denver, I think, at home. They did the Raiders.
Yeah, didn't they get to I think they got to 7 wins last year, didn't they? I think so.
Poor Darnold.
Steve says, hey, Ben, you're taking the Jets. Please email me for some timeshare information, and I'll send you my PayPal account. Hey, Steve, I'll let you know, one of our great advertisers over the years has been how to get out of your timeshare. They call this number, go to this website. We'll get you out of your timeshare. All right, next up, Cleveland at Tennessee. It's on CBS with Ian Eagle and Charles Davis. Now, the Titans open a 4-point favorite. They're favored by 6. Temperatures in the 40s. It'll be sunny in Nashville at Nissan Stadium. I'm going to take the Browns in this game. Ryan Tannehill has been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Tennessee quarterback. He's the NFL's third-ranked quarterback in home games, which is good news because this game is in Nashville. So he's been good there. He's 18th on the road. But this is another one of those, you look for angles, you look for patterns. This is a letdown spot for Tennessee. They're coming off a road win in a key divisional game against the Colts. Derrick Henry is wonderful. But the Tennessee Titans defense is not. They have no pass rush. They have a very generic store brand secondary. And the thing here that worries me and gives me pause is the Browns, their last 11 road games, the Browns are 1-10 against the spread. Now, the reason this line is so high is because Denzel Ward, the defensive back for the Browns, he's got a bad calf. He's out for the game. There's also several other key players who are dinged up in that secondary for Cleveland. But listen, the Browns can win just ground and pound with that running game against Tennessee. And they've been using Baker Mayfield as a decoy. I would imagine that continues. He has not thrown an interception back in the month of November, but he only had 2 touchdown passes and a quarterback rating of under 90, which I don't think is good. He's completed less than 60% of his throws. Now, I'm going with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chuba-Lub-Lub, that two-headed monster in the backfield. This would be the biggest win of the Browns season if they get it. Now, I don't think they're guaranteed to win the game. I am going to pick them to win the game, but they are 1-3 with teams that have a winning record this season, and 6-0 the Browns are against the teams that have a losing record. I believe that to be the correct number. So anyway, I think it might be 7-0 against teams that have a losing record. Anyway, I'm going to take the Browns 30 and the Titans 28, the final. And the penny pick.
Penny going with Tennessee.
All right, Tennessee next up.
But they got both guys going for nearly 1,000 yards this year, Hunt and Nick Chubb. Those guys are beasts.
Yeah, but if you look at the other teams that have run for 1,000 yards with 2 guys, it's not like they really won anything in recent years.
I know.
Anyway. It's happening.
No, I know. Yeah. I mean, the one good game that you mentioned that they beat a team over 500 was the Colts, but outside of that, they've gotten blasted by some of the elite teams.
All right, David says that the Jets 0-11, the biggest joke since 1962, according to David, friend of Roscoe the Parrot. All right, the LA Rams. You're going to ram it all day. You can ram it all night. Rams took it on the chin last week. 7-4 at Arizona. 6-5. It's on Fox. It's on Fox with Chris Myers, Brock Heward, and Greg Jennings. They have the call. Now, the Rams opened a 1.5-point favorite. They are favored by 3. The uneducated fan can't believe that the Rams will be favored by 3. This is at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the home of 2 NFL teams now, the 49ers and Cardinals, the Arizona 49ers. Are they going to call them the Phoenix 49ers? I think that sounds a little better than Arizona 49ers. I think you got the Arizona Cardinals and the Phoenix 49ers.
Wait, but
right?
you can't though, because if you're going to stay true to what the San Francisco 49ers are, they should be called like Glendale or Scottsdale or like Yuma or some other bullshit.
Yeah. Glendale, bro. Right?
Yeah,
you do it like that. You be like your official Glendale. Okay. So I'm going to take the Rams in this game. And Sean McVay, he put Jared Goff on blast, put him on notice last week. We did a monologue about it. Very lackluster performance against the 49ers. Tentative. But I love the Rams with the bounce-back ability under Sean McVay. L.A. against the spread, their last 10 games following a game they did not cover. The Rams are 9-1 against the spread, their last 10 games in that situation. And they're 6-1-1 against the spread following a straight-up loss their last 8. So they have been money. When they lose a game, they come back and take care of business. And as far as the Cardinals, listen, Cliff Kingsbury has not been able to figure out Sean McVay. I know he's only been there a short amount of time. And little Kyler Murray, the pint-sized quarterback of Arizona, he's got a bad shoulder. He's on the injury report. I am very confident that the elite defense of the Rams is going to mess with Alligator Arms, the little fella, in this game. Last season, the Ram defense, which was not as good as it is this year, punched him right in his little mouth. Murray lost both games against the Rams last season. He had a 61.5 passer rating, averaged just 4.2 yards per attempt against the Rams defense of 2019, which is, again, better now. And Kyler Murray only had 28 yards rushing. Remember the stat. The Cardinals have a 250 winning percentage when Murray does not run for or runs for less than 40 yards, I should say. Sean McVay, we talked about matchups last week, and Kyle Shanahan had Sean McVay's number. Well, McVay's got the Cardinals number. He is 6-0 versus the Cardinals, 5-1 against the line since he took over as an NFL coach with the Rams. I am going to take the Rams 30 and the Cardinals 24.
Penny also going that way, going with the Los Angeles Rams.
You can ram it all day. You can ram it all night. All right, next up. By the way, I noticed, Gascon, in weeks past when I mentioned the Arizona Cardinals, you would do some rant about the little fella. I didn't notice that this week. I guess, are you moving away from your fandom for Alligator Arms Murray?
No, it's not I've never gone on a rant. I've actually just defended him on some bad takes that you've had regarding him.
You've given him a shoulder massage. You've licked his toes.
I've actually just defended him against some of your incoherent, shots at him for being in the MVP conversation just because he's doing a lot of running and throwing as opposed to your typical pocket passers. It's fine.
Well, Pierre, a.k.a. Alf the Alien Opiner, says if the Patriots can shut down Alligator Arms and the Rams...
They didn't shut him down. They got bailed out by a brutal call against their defense when Cam Newton had 2 feet in bounds, and they gave the Patriots 15 yards for unnecessary roughness. That was a bullshit call. And on top of that, their kicker missed a game-winning field goal. Zane Gonzalez missed a game-winning field goal and gave the Patriots a short field. Don't give me that crap. The hell out of here. Move on.
I'm playing the world's smallest violin for Gascon here.
If you've been bouncing around enough games, you should have seen the exact what I saw at the end of that ball game. It was horrific.
By the way, it's not a game-winning field goal, dummy. If there's still time left, and the Patriots would have gotten the ball back, even if that field goal had been good.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Have gone down and gotten a field goal. Arizona's defense isn't very good.
I said a game-winning field goal. I didn't say a buzzer-beating field goal. If the field goal would have occurred with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and New England didn't score, guess what? That's a game-winning field goal. It doesn't matter when it's scored. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. But you're assuming wrongly that the Patriots would not come back. They would have come back, and they would have gone down the field. They probably would have scored a touchdown in that situation.
Yeah, because you want to put all kinds of faith in Cam Newton. That's exactly what you want to do.
Oh, the guy's an MVP. I suppose that matters, right? I mean, you're a big fan of those awards, those past accolades and all that.
No, not one bit. No, I mean, if I wanted to talk about past accolades, I would have mentioned Kyler Murray's Heisman Trophy a couple of years ago at Oklahoma. Has no relevance to now other than the fact that you should acknowledge that the guy's a winner.
It's a college award. Cam Newton won an NFL award.
Yeah, most of these guys, they come from college, newsflash, so it's a little bit relevant, especially when you come from the Big 12.
Scott said, hey, they had an article in Arizona about you ripping Murray this week. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. Must have been a slow news day in Phoenix that the record in Arizona, the Arizona Republic, did a story pretty much quoting my Maller monologue from soup to nuts. What is up with that? Frank in L.A. Says, right now I would rather have Jared Goff than Kyler Murray. Thank you for that, Frank.
No, you wouldn't. Don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Let's press on here, Gascon, shall we? How about the Giants? 4-7 at Seattle. It's on Fox. Adam Amin and Mark Schlereth have the call. The Seahawks opened a 7-point favorite. They are now favored by 10. They got the bad backdoor cover against them last week in Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. Temperatures in the 40s at Lumen Field. Remember, they changed the name of the stadium in Seattle last week or 2 weeks ago. Lumen Field. I'm going to take the Giants in this game. Now, I'm going out on a limb here, Gascon, because Daniel Jones is doubtful. He's got a bad hammy, so it seemed most of the week like Colt McCoy at age 34 was going to get the start in this game. He's only had 28 NFL starts, only 3 in the last 5 years for Colt McCoy, and now it's not so sure. If McCoy plays, he's a game manager, a lot of those little lollipop throws, That's all the guy can do. He's about as exciting as eating crackers. It's like, you have crackers as a side thing to add to soup or salad. You don't get excited about it. Before the season, Pro Football Focus ranked all 32 backup quarterbacks, and Colt McCoy came in at number 27. He's not good. So we certainly hope that Daniel Jones plays. Now, I've ripped the stumble bum Daniel Jones, but in a side-by-side comparison, you would much rather have Daniel Jones playing against that second-rate Seattle defense than Colt McCoy. And I understand the Seahawks defense has played better recently, but I still don't trust them. Russell Wilson's going to be able to move the ball against the Giants defense. The Giants defense is just a middle of the pack. It's a ham and egger type of defense there. But the key is, you want to kind of extend this out, make it a long field rather for Seattle, so they have to take a lot of time off the clock, driving the ball down the field. If Colt McCoy plays, it's going to be a very remedial game plan. You're going to have to milk the cow if you're the Giants, even if Daniel Jones plays, and try to keep that Seattle offense off the field. I am actually going to make this because I think Daniel Jones is going to play. So I'm going to make this a best bet, assuming Daniel Jones plays. So I would wait till Sunday to bet on this game. But if Daniel Jones does play, this is one of my best bets. Seattle should not be favored by 10 points with that defense. I will take the Seattle Seahawks to win, but not cover the number. Seahawks 28, Giants 20.
Penny going with Seattle in this one. I think Carlos Dunlap actually plays in this ball game too. So if he does, it's good for their front seven.
All right. Next up, Philadelphia 3-7-1 at Green Bay 8-3. It's on CBS with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. The Packers opened up a 7-point favorite in this game, and now they are a 9-point favorite at Lambeau Field with temperatures in the 30s. I'm going to take the Eagles in this game. I don't need your body language over there. I don't need your body language.
You're under 500 for the season. And you're just pissing these games away.
I'm not pissing the games away. You know what pissing the games away is? Betting on teams.
The Jets. Betting on the Jets. Betting on the Cowboys. Okay. Taking the Eagles like you have done.
The Jets have covered, dummy. 2 of their last 3 games they've covered.
The Jets have covered what? 2 of their last 11? Is that what they've done?
You are the epitome of why the casinos make so much money. There's no way you can bet on bad teams. You can only bet on good teams.
Says the guy that pays for the parking at the casinos and the resort fee. All right. Anyways,
I do not pay for the parking. I got a credit card from the casino. I thought they got rid of the paid parking. I haven't been to Vegas since the apocalypse, but I heard they got rid of it because they were desperately trying to get people to come back to Vegas. Maybe. But anyway, listen, I'm taking the Eagles here. There's no way I really want to bet on Carson Wentz, but this point spread is way too large. I understand Wentz leads the NFL in turnovers and sacks and all that. And so Doug Peterson, he has to play the hide the quarterback style of football for Philadelphia. A lot of Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. Hope that you get a few turnovers, short field situation. But this is actually setting up to a back situation. So a lot of this will be on the Philadelphia special teams to keep this game within the margins. And Doug Peterson, he did say this week, the reports out of Philly, that he's delegating the play calling. Good luck on that. I'm not sure that's going to matter very much. And I realize Aaron Rodgers can pretty much take a box cutter to that Philadelphia defense here. But still, getting over a touchdown is too enticing for me to pass up. So I will take the Green Bay Packers 27 and the Philadelphia Eagles 20. And the point.
Penny going with the Pack. Go Pack, go. Now, you said at the open it was 7, but it's 9, right?
It opened at 7. It's at 9 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the number. Zach Ertz is back. Pierre says, he points that out. Also, Alfie Opino says at least Ben knows how to park. There you go. Congratulations. Yeah, you don't know how to park.
Yeah, horrible. I fly to Vegas. I don't drive, so I don't have to worry about the parking.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about waiting at an airport for my flight. So advantage me. And by the time you go to the airport and you have to park and you have to get there.
If you go to Long Beach Airport, you can get there 30 minutes before the flight takes off. You're up and then you're down 45 minutes later. There's no chance in hell you're beating me there.
If I left my house right now, I could be in Vegas in 2 hours.
That's because you live on the border of California and Nevada. That doesn't count.
Yeah. So why would it make sense for me to fly to Vegas if I can get my car and in less than 3 hours I'm in Vegas?
Because you got to pay for parking and you got to pay for gas. It's a little bit more expensive than you have to get on a flight.
You can go wherever you want in Vegas. You want to go to Old Vegas and hang out on Fremont Street, you can do that. You want to go to the Strip, you do that. You have options. You have options.
Yeah, I mean, your age group goes to Old Town Vegas, not my age group. A little bit different.
What are you talking about? When I go to Vegas, all I see is a bunch of people your age doing heroin and drugs all over the Fremont Street experience. What are you talking about?
I'm all about having a good time. Anyways, what are we on to next?
All right, next up, New England at the Los Angeles Chargers. It's on CBS with Kevin Harlan and Trent Green. This game opened the Chargers by 2.5. It is a pick'em at SoFi Stadium in the hood in Inglewood. Temperatures in the 60s at SoFi Stadium. I'm going to take the Patriots. This is going to be one of my best bets. I love the Patriots this week. Bill Belichick, another opportunity to win an ugly grinder type of game. Get the Patriots back to 500 at 6-6. And he's going to be able to play mind tricks with Justin Herbert, the quarterback for Los Angeles. Now, the Patriots, here's the key thing here. The reason you like the Patriots this week is not because they have a good offense. They don't. Not because they have a particularly great defense. They don't. The reason you like the Patriots is because they rarely beat themselves with Bill Belichick. They're a disciplined, methodical team. And the Chargers, that's all they do. They could write a book on how to have self-inflicted wounds and lose games. They're Rhodes Scholars on that. Rhodes Scholars. Anthony Lynn is hanging on by his fingernails for the Chargers as the coach, and they are currently on an 0-for-5 against the spread streak, longest active losing streak in the NFL against the spread. They also are dinged up at linebacker, and so the Patriots, they win with special teams, field position. They're going to have to run the ball with Damian Harris. Cam Newton's actually going to have to run some in this game. But this is a Bill Belichick special. You just wait for the other team to implode and make mistakes, and then you take advantage. So Patriots 23, Chargers 20, the final.
Penny's going with the Bolts in this one. Go with the LA Chargers of Anaheim, San Diego, California.
All right, so for those just joining us, Gascon, welcome. You're joining the Benny versus the Penny broadcast in progress. Thumbs up for those of you checking this out for the first time. That does help us out.
As you're in the city of Boston right now, and
yeah, that's right. Look at that beautiful bridge. I don't see any cars on the bridge though. They're not moving for some reason. I don't understand that.
Maybe they have a stay-at-home order in Massachusetts.
Oh, that could be it. There you go. Frank, the Charger fan. Frank in LA says Bill Belichick, future Charger coach. You heard it here first.
Frank is an absolute UCLA homer. It's good to see him on the show. You weren't here to start it, but it's good to see you here, Frank. About fucking time.
I didn't know there was a check-in time for Frank to check in on the show. I did see Frank. So he's a Laker historian, so he's not perfect. He's got issues. All right, you want to do another trivia question?
Yeah, you read my mind. How about this one? I have the most 40-plus yard touchdowns since 2019.
This is of a receiver, Gascon. We should clarify. Yes.
Well, it could be a running back.
All right.
Could be a tight end.
I think this is among wide receivers. Most 40-plus yard touchdowns since 2019, the start of the 2019 season. So if you want to give that a shot, you can send your answer in right now in the chat, and we will read some of those answers while we wait for those to come in. Check out Fanatics. Fanatics, that's a brand. What do we brand? Something. I don't know what the term is, but they are helping fuel Benny versus the Penny. So click on that box right there.
Yeah, it's the affiliate link. We've partnered with them.
Yeah, it's a partnership, so you can check that out. I like that David Cochran, the guy with Roscoe the Parrot, he's like 5-10 minutes behind where we are. Is this on a delay in Winter Park, Florida? He says G-Man +10. He says
no, but you can on the live feed. You can actually stream it back, or you can actually have it played from the beginning. So he's probably catching that.
Okay, I got you. All right, some of the answers coming in. Let's see here. Donkey Kong Metcalf from Isaac. The Red Rooster, Terry Taylor, tossed out by Dan. Tyree Kill from Meet Me at the Coffee Pot. Joe Jaravicious from Ethan. 9 to 5 Ethan in Akron, Ohio. Ethan sent me a nice email. He's working the dreaded 9 to 5 shift. He's very happy we're doing this early so we can enjoy it.
Kerry Von Erich, that's pretty bad.
Flipper Anderson, guest by Pierre. Tyler Lockett. Tracy Lords, you're a big fan of Tracy Lords' work from back in the day. And Steve, isn't that one of the few professions? Like if you're a president, they always say you're the president. When you're not the president. When you're a construction worker, they don't say, here's a former construction worker. When you're a porn star, no matter what you do the rest of your life, porn star. Like that, what's her name, Mia Khalifa? She hasn't been actively doing the porn for years, but everyone still introduces her as porn star Mia Khalifa because that is timeless, Gascon. Adult entertainment is timeless. It just gets getting repackaged on those websites. So that's what our friend in Maine, Blair, the alien opiner, says. All right, who else do we have? Juan is going with Hulk Hogan. Skip Bayless from Robert. We have Sir Arthur Conan Doyle from Walt. Jake Paul, did I say that, from Falcons Go. Just Josh, one of these Cincinnati bros, is going with Sonny Bono.
Man,
as his answer.
Died in a skiing accident.
Yeah, mayor of Palm Springs. There's a statue, if you go to Palm Springs, of Sonny Bono right next to a candy shop in Palm Springs. Fun fact.
I had a relative that worked for Sonny back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Some good stories behind the scenes.
I'm sure Sonny lived the rock star life, right?
He probably was really thankful social media was not around when he was doing what he was doing.
Oh, you imagine the 1980s New York Mets if social media had been around with all the frolic, all the debauchery, those guys, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. My God.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
All right, what's the answer here? Reveal answers.
The answer is drumroll. AJ Brown.
Oh, of your Tennessee Titans.
That's right.
College teammate of DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I like how every week when they have big plays, someone will show the side-by-side shots of them flexing on everybody. Yeah.
And how many national championships did they win together in the South there? How many?
Mississippi? Not a one.
Yeah. All right, Sunday Night Football, Denver 4-7 at Kansas City 10-1. It's on NBC. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, that's David Gascon's Broncos. The Chiefs opened up. This is amazing. Originally, the very early line was like 2.5. It is all the way up to 14. Obviously, that line was like a couple of weeks back, but 14 points the Chiefs are favored by at Arrowhead Stadium. Temperatures in the 30s for Sunday Night Football. I'm going to actually take the Broncos here. I'm going with your Broncos, Gascon. I know you're excited about that, but I'm going to take Denver. Now, first of all, I understand the Chiefs can pick the final score in this game, but my instincts tell me to take the Broncos. Anytime you get over a touchdown in a divisional game, you do not ask questions. Don't do it, all right? And you take the points. Denver's big bugaboo is turnovers. They lead the NFL with an average of 2.4 per game. That's dead last out of 32 teams. And that has killed them. And that's what killed them the first time. This was actually a nip and tuck game in the second quarter. It was a 10-6 game, Broncos and Chiefs in the second quarter. And then Drew Lock threw a pick six, if you remember, in that game. And there was some other mistakes later on that got to the score really out of control. But the Chiefs are coming off a pair of big wins. And, this is one of those games. I know it's the Broncos. It's a divisional game, but there's hardly going to be any fans there. This is like a flat type of week for them after a high-profile game against Tampa Bay where they got burned on a backdoor cover, even though they won the game. Also, I looked at the injury report today. We're doing this on Friday, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back with an illness, he is questionable. He missed practice a couple days this week. So there is that element, which means if he can't go, Le'Veon Bell moves into the starting lineup in a more prominent role, I should say. So you've got Drew Lock versus Patrick Mahomes. That is like a slip and slide versus a hurricane in terms of the water factor here. Now, as a gambler, Gascon, again, you got to look at the value here, and you have to be a contrarian. I know you don't like to do that. You like to bet on all the favorites, and you're Joe Public and all that. I like to go against the public consensus. And how about this for a fun fact? In primetime games, favorites are 12-24 against the spread. That's a .333 winning percentage. So if you had just bet every underdog in these primetime games, you would be 12 games above 500 just in those primetime games. The bookmakers have cleaned up when teams have bet on the favorites. And Denver, they're obviously going to have to run the ball really well with Gordon. I know Philip Lindsay was on the injury report, but it looks like he's going to play in this game. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win, but the Broncos to cover. Chiefs 33, Broncos 20. And the Penny pick.
Penny go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one.
All right. We will get to the Monday Night Football doubleheader here in a minute. We look forward to that. Ethan in Akron says the Browns-Titans game should have been flexed to Sunday Night Football. The Broncos, really?
There's no way they're flexing out Patrick Mahomes.
Well, Queen Roxanne's not happy. She likes the Broncos. Is that why you and Queen Roxanne get along so well? Because she likes the Broncos? You have a bond there?
Great minds think alike, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mark says, Peter, this is Al Michaels. That was a totally farcical call. It's one of the great Al Michaels drops of all time. Farcical. Man. Frank says, who does Chris Collinsworth offend this week? Yeah, you see, was that the dumbest apology? My God, are you that? I mean, how do you live? How are you that fragile that you live in a society and leave your house? You needed an apology from Chris Collinsworth because of a benign comment he made on a broadcast late in the game when the game was all but over? Come on.
Yeah, I interpreted it as his just being enthusiastic about people actually talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers directly, players, coaches, whatever it may be. But
yeah, he was like, oh, I'm impressed. These women in Pittsburgh are so knowledgeable about football. It's like we're just supposed to assume like all women know everything about football.
Different
I know doing
towns,
sports radio, there are some, obviously, but would you say if you were to poll the kinder gender and just say, all right, how many NFL coaches could, like Queen Roxanne can, I mean, the women that listen in the Malin Militia can, but your casual woman, I don't think I'm wrong in saying not a hardcore football fan. The numbers would back that up, right?
If you put 10 men and 10 females together and ask them to name NFL head coaches, I'd say males would probably get 70% and females would probably get like 10%.
Depends, it depends on where you drag the guys out of, depends on what. Yeah. All right, let's keep it going here. Next up, Monday Night Football, Washington 4-7 at Pittsburgh 11-0. It's on Fox with Kevin Burkhardt and Daryl Moose Johnston. They have the call. This game is only going to be a regional broadcast unless you have the Red Zone channel.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Monday. That's bullcrap. Now, I'm not saying you should do this, Gascon, but there are these websites that stream all this stuff, which you should not use because I think they're illegal. But there are ways to watch this game it's kind of, as you would say, Gascon, a workaround, which is, again, I'm not saying you should do that, but these sites do exist. So the Steelers opened up a 7.5-point favorite. They are favored by 8.5 at Heinz Field in chilly Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Washington in this game. A couple of factors here. You got a short week for the Steelers. They played the game against the Ravens on Wednesday, and it sounds like the locker room doesn't want to play this game. You had bitching and belly aching from Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron whined about having to play 3 games in 12 days because the Pittsburgh Steelers play Monday, and then they come back the following Sunday and play the Buffalo Bills. And so they're complaining about that. He said, Eric Ebron, that he would be willing to give up a game check to avoid having to play all of these games. That is not what you want to hear. You want to hear a guy that loves football and says, I'd play every game of the week. Mike Tomlin called out his team. He called them a junior varsity squad. We all saw that. We had fun with that. It was a good line. And without the Steelers are without Bud Dupree, which means T.J. Watt's going to face more pressure. And good luck. Good luck. That offense, they have some, few playmakers, but they're not loaded. The Steelers offense. And the fun fact, Ben Roethlisberger, he has thrown for the fewest air yards this season. It used to be for a long time it was Drew Bledsoe, but the Steelers, they're just not throwing the ball down the field. Everything's like behind the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Is that because Roethlisberger can't throw the ball down the field, or they just are choosing not to do it? Now, I am picking Washington, but NFC East teams are 9-17 against the spread this season when playing non-NFC East teams, which means the only time they really win, they're forced to win, is when they play the NFC East. That scares me, but that only, as Dick Stockton taught me years ago, Gascon, that tells you what has happened, not what's going to happen. Statistically, the former Redskins have one of the top defenses. I think they're number 1 in pass defense in the NFL, although that number's inflated because of who they've played. They've taken advantage of some bad teams, bad quarterbacks. Washington also, they have a pretty good defensive line. And I'm not a big guy as far as Alex Smith is concerned. I'm not a fan of his performance. It's a modern medical miracle that Alex Smith is out there playing. So that is something. But if you look at his last 4 games, he's had 3 starts. His last 4 games, he's had 5 interceptions and a passer rating below 85. And that's against a bunch of plodding defenses. And so now you play Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh's defense is good. I don't think they're nearly as good without Bud Dupree. So I say follow the value here. And you're getting over a touchdown. We know that in primetime games, we gave you that stat earlier here. In primetime games, underdogs have done very well. I say that continues here. Steelers get the win. It's another ugly game for Mike Tomlin's team. Steelers 26, former Redskins 19, the final.
You love calling them the former Redskins. Anyways, Penny is going with the Washington football team.
That is what they will forever be known as the team that used to be called the Redskins. That's their former nickname.
You should have someone hook you up with one of their hats. Their black hats are pretty solid.
What are you talking about, the Washington football team hat or the old Redskins hat?
No, the new ones that they have, it's black. It just says Washington football team over the top. I think it says like established when they were first came into the league. It's pretty nice. It's sharp.
I would B for Ben or M for Mallard. So I'm biased towards that. Just want to point that out.
Fine.
You would like hats with D because you're the D, or a G. Not that you're a G, but I like that look. Next week, are you going to do the podcast without your shirt on? Is that? I mean, that's the next step. You've got the T-shirt on this week, so next week
tank top.
Tank top. That's right. We call that the Tom Looney. Is what we call that when you show up in a tank top.
Tom Looney is the guy with the tank top, and every time you see him, it's the same exact tank top, same exact one.
Yes. All right. You want to do one more trivia here? You want to do one more trivia? Which one do you want to do here? We got a lot of options here. You want to pick and choose?
Let's see. How about this one? I'm averaging just 4.64 air yards per completion this season, the lowest in the league. Listen here. You screwed this up. You screwed this up. You screwed it up. Don't grab your hat. Don't shake your head. This is time to see who's paying attention and who's not. Consider the fact that week in and week out, we do 3 questions of who am I. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Don't get down. You spoiled this. You, Maller, spoiled this. This is like you opening up a present before Christmas. Weren't given permission by the parents. You decided to open it up, and you spoil the whole thing. So shake your head all you want, but you effed up.
No. This. I will make my case to the jury in the Maller militia of why you screwed up. Now,
No, you can't. Okay, no, you can't because these are not. This is not being tried by my peers.
All right, hold on a second. Let me just make my case, okay? And then I will rest my case. So all of these trivia questions I come up with, okay? So it's a pain in the ass. I've apparently it is. I mean, some days there's not a lot there, and I've got to throw crap against the wall. You're stealing my material again, Gascon. That's good that you're stealing my material. I appreciate that. But no. So I sent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions to you. Okay, I sent 5 questions to you. You did the first 2 in perfect order from top to bottom, right? So then I assumed, since we're kind of wrapping this up, we only got a couple games to go. I assume we're not going to get to the last. Not going to get to the last question. So why don't I just give it out? And it's a fun fact. I want to make sure that people hear about it. And you, in your wisdom, Gascon, determine, you know what? Let's screw Maller over. Let me just do this trivia question. Even though you just heard me say the answer. You had just heard me give the stat literally seconds prior. My God.
That is assuming people were actually paying attention to what you said. And you know, as I well know, that television, most people pay attention to your presentation, not to your actual words. So
that's also true. That's also true in radio, by the way. So you have the beverage there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you're making me drink early in Benny versus the Penny.
Here we go. I wore this last week. See this here?
That's good. Now the best part about it is now people can actually read and see what you have on top of your dome. Yeah. That's good. It's a good job by you.
There you go. Oh, there it is. I want to point out that every time I look at this hat now, because of Justin in Cincinnati, I think of pill poppers. I have a whole hat, like a wall of hats you can't see here because my massive hat collection. Many of these things, by the way, sent in by the Maller militia. I want to point out. Thank you guys. You've been great. And fanatics. Thumbs up, by the way. Thumbs up. Did we give the answer? I mean, we already gave the answer on the A guys. Everyone's going Ben Roethlisberger. Although I did see Alex Smith guessed by Emmanuel, not paying attention in Portugal. Eric Hipple from Rich. Menudo that's a good one, from the late night drug tester. That whole Menudo thing, oh my God. Roberto gave the recipe for Menudo. Yeah. That is horrible. It's to each their own. I guess if you grew up with it like Roberto, you're fine with it, Mike. Man, all right, we got 2 games left. Let's get to it. Really, only 1 game. It's hard you can't handicap the Tuesday night game. Are you kidding me? Please. But we'll do the last Monday night game. Buffalo. This is the primetime Monday night game. It's on ESPN. Buffalo 8-3 against the Phoenix 40, and this is on ESPN. The Phoenix 49ers used to be in Santa Clara. They were kicked out of California by King Gavin Newsom and some moonbeam politicians in Northern California. Did you see that report that the Rams and Chargers are anticipating and preparing that they're also going to be kicked out of California by health officials?
That's unbelievable, right? But which is great because it's only Santa Clara. So you had San Jose State, Stanford, and obviously the 49ers.
Well, but just in general, I mean, you think about like in Florida where they did not, they're having fans at games. They didn't they took away a lot of the restrictions, and their numbers are better than California. Every time California, they take something away from the people, and the numbers continue to skyrocket, and these dummies haven't figured it out. It's amazing.
And we vote them back in.
I don't. You do. You're people west of the 405. I'm east of the 405. I'm working class. All right. So anyway, this is at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The game, it opened the Bills by 3. It's actually a pick 'em right now. I'm going to take the newly minted Phoenix 49ers. And here's why. The 49ers appeared dead in the water, and then they beat the Rams. Now, I actually picked the Niners in that game, showing the unexpected spark. Many people did not expect that, and taking advantage of Jared Goff's football incompetence. That was mostly why the Niners were able to win that game. Now, that said, the Niners defense has improved. They've gotten some guys back from the injury list, including Richard Sherman. And the main point to bet on the Niners here is to bet against Josh Allen. He has enough brain farts and makes enough reckless throws that it gives you a short field and sets you up very nicely. I would really like the Niners more if Buffalo was favored, which they were. If you had gotten Buffalo +3 or -3, the Niners +3, that would have been great. Nick Mullins, he's the game manager. He's got to avoid the big mistake. He was all right. He actually played better than Jared Goff in the fourth quarter last week. You got to nurse the game, right? Like the guy at the bar that can only afford one drink and walks around kind of nursing the drink. I'm usually that guy, by the way. And a lot of running the ball of Mostert and high percentage throws. Those little short dink and dunk throws to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and let them get yards after the catch. Let them catch and run. The Bills' defense is allowing 26 points per game. 26 points per game. They gave up 19 points per game last season. They do not impress me. Buffalo, they've also got a big game coming up with the Steelers next week. This is what's known as, say it with me now, kids, a look-ahead game. It is a look-ahead game, so there is that as well. Niners, 28, and the Buffalo Bills, 26. Down goes Josh Allen. Down goes the Marion fan.
Petty's going with the Buffalo Bills in this one.
How about David in the chat, man? He's throwing out some very political hot takes there, David, man. He is he's on fire. He
is.
Calm down.
I will acknowledge, since you didn't answer it, Juan was asking about hat sizes. My hat size is a 7 1/4. I don't think it matters. Ben has a lot of hats, probably too many. So if you can count,
I'm a size 8, Juan. I'm a size 8, and any kind of hat would be good. But let me know. We use the Pony Express at Fox Sports Radio for our mail. So
no shit.
You got to let me know, because everything's wonky right now. We're all doing remote. Well, those of us that are the stars are doing remote broadcasts, and then so I'm not in the main studio most of the time. I do go check in on the weekends. I'll stop by on the weekends. So let me know, and I'll pick that up. And I love these obscure college hats. I think those are kind of fun. But whatever. I mean, you can send. I had asked earlier for I support the police. I know that's a lot of the Looney Tunes want to cancel the police, but I support law enforcement. I would love to get a bunch of local police department hats, but even your old man Gascon has not hooked me up with the LAPD hat. That's a bad job by you.
Are you panhandling right now for an LAPD hat?
I learned from a guy in Miami, the weed man. I'm just saying, just saying.
It's bad form. Let's close out this week with Baltimore and Dallas, shall we?
All right, we will. Before we do that, my guy, Sports with Coleman, says, you didn't. We're going to do that right now. Now, I'm not going to handicap this game, Gascon. It is not until Tuesday. Dallas is 3-8. Baltimore is 6-5. It's on Fox with Joe Buck. We think Joe Buck. I'm not even sure Buck's doing this game, but I got one schedule that said Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I got another one that said no. Now, is there a Thursday night game next week? Because that would mean Buck would do a game on Tuesday and then go back to Thursday. But the schedule I have says Joe Buck is going to do this particular game. So we'll find out. We'll find out on Tuesday night. The Ravens are a 10-point favorite in this game at M&T Bank Stadium, the stadium that Sports with Coleman built. Again, I can't handicap the game. We don't know who's playing, who's not. I mean, I'm blindly – here's what I'm going to do, Gascon, because I know you're going to hold this against me, which is fine. You're an a-hole. I am going to take the Dallas Cowboys +10 because there's no way to get a handle on who's going to play and who's not. We're doing this on Friday, and the game's not until Tuesday. As we said, the Ravens could get 10 players off the COVID list over the next 3 days by the end of the weekend, including Lamar Jackson. It's also possible they get none of those players back from the COVID list, although it seems mathematically improbable because young, healthy professional athletes, 99% of them have no ramifications with the COVID. It's fine. They're back in a couple of days. But if this line stays the same, I will take Andy Dalton and the Cowboys, although I will cover my eyes and I will try to avoid puking. I will try to avoid puking. Now, Sports with Coleman does tell me that he thinks Lamar Jackson will be back. He thinks Lamar Jackson will be back. That's not a guarantee. Keep in mind, Sports with Coleman might or might not have been the guy that told me to bet the house on the Ravens against the Steelers when that backdoor cover screwed everything up. And as an added bonus, did you hear, Gascon? I know you don't listen because you don't stay up that night because you're an old man. But Dominican Mike called up from Florida. He lost $800 betting on the Ravens because of the advice that I passed on, possibly or not possibly, from Sports with Coleman.
Oh,
my God.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Late night drug tester says Buck called a game for 7 straight days. What a trooper. My God. All right. Did the Penny? I wasn't listening, Gascon. Did the Penny pick this game?
You did pick a score.
I can't. How can I pick a score? I'll pull something out of my ass, Gascon. How about it? Baltimore 30 and the Cowboys 21. How about that?
Penny is not chicken shit. It's actually going to make a pick. Going with Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay. Easy peasy for the Penny. Anything else to promote here, Gascon? I got to do a radio interview in Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places. One of my old friends I used to work with years ago, and I did those college football games. I was the studio host for syndicated college football games on the radio early in my career, and one of the play-by-play guys hosts an afternoon show in Albuquerque. But I'm not going to tweet out because I don't know. I don't know if the station he's on, to be honest with you, but it's some station in Albuquerque, so I'll be on there in half an hour, right now. Fair enough. Talking some hot Kyler Murray, by the way. Kyler Murray talk.
If folks have not done it, podcast today with Rob Parker was good. Pretty solid. Yes. Yeah.
And I, some of the militia have like this love-hate relationship with Rob. I've always loved Rob. As far as his sports conversation and his sports takes, and when I first met Rob, we were shooting the crap back and forth, and we were like, he was like, yeah, we have similar styles, and it is true. We our approach to sports is the same. There are no sacred cows, and you got to have strong opinions and all that, and so it's refreshing. I always enjoy Rob, and I told him, if you listen to the Fifth Hour, and it's true, every time I see Rob. When I briefly worked at WEI in Boston and I was like a fill-in guy, and if it was ever a slow day in Boston sports, we would just take a clip that Rob Parker said besmirching the name of Tom Brady on FS1 with Skip Bayless, and we would just play that, and then it would just be like the Rob Parker punching bag where people would call, I don't like this Rob Parker, screw him, and all that. It was great.
Good
so
dude.
Funny.
Yeah, he's a good
guy.
He's
good people. Good people. We love Rob.
All right. Saturday, we acknowledge a couple things on the podcast. Saturday, we got a couple articles that were published.
That's right. We do address Maller publicity. Again, I do the dopey overnight show, Gascon. Why would anyone care what I say about Kyler Murray? But apparently the media in Arizona is obsessed. They want me to drink the Kool-Aid. They're very unhappy, Gascon. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. My God.
Unbelievable.
Queen Roxanne, clearly with good grading, she says a great show. How about that? Everyone have a great weekend. There you go. All right. Wonderful.
Fair enough. Guys, click the link below if you want to obviously subscribe to the show. Same time next week. No, 2 o'clock Pacific next week.
2 o'clock. I have to play next Friday Friday night in California, I am playing Santa Claus.
There you go.
Unless that gets canceled by King Newsom, that might be canceled. But I am playing Santa Claus. I do it every year. And what better way for a Jewish guy on Hanukkah, the first night of Hanukkah, which is next Friday, to celebrate Hanukkah, than to wear a Santa Claus outfit and walk around and wave at kids.
You might have to do
social. Yeah.
You might have to do it with a hazmat suit. So it might be Santa Claus hazmat suit for a Jewish guy.
No, it's like the one day a year I get to be Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. Yeah. I know Jonas Knox, our colleague Jonas Knox, was Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
That was for the costume. Like, it's my chance, because when you wear the Santa costume, people look at you differently. They look at you with the wonderment of a child. It's great. Even old people look at you and you're like, oh, it's Santa Claus. They flash back to when they were 8 years old. It's awesome.
It's good.
It's really cool.
It is good.
David in Winter Park, Florida says WEI sucks. Screw you. They paid my bills for a couple of years. Now I'm on the Sports Hub. I like the Sports Hub too, but I got nothing against WEI. They were good to me, and I would still be at WEI, but our overnight show got picked up by the other station, so that was the problem. There's a lot of politics involved in this stuff.
Of course. So show next week, 2:00 Pacific. You got a date with Santa that night. And then you're prepping for the Mallard Christmas party as well. So a lot of good things ahead.
Yeah. You're not invited this year, Gascon. It's a speakeasy.
That's bullshit.
It is a speakeasy. You're not invited. That creepy Brian Finley guy's not invited either. He's not invited this year. And we'll have plenty of Raising Cane's like we did last year. Plenty of chicken for everyone.
Cold chicken. Anyways, guys, thanks for subscribing. We will catch you again next week. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us 5 stars across the board. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Great job. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember the podcast. Arrivederci!